The average Canadian TFSA balance is approximately $32,000. Most of it is sitting in a savings account, earning somewhere between 1.5 and 2.5% interest. At 2%, $32,000 grows to about $47,000 over 20 years. Invested in a diversified portfolio inside the same TFSA, same account, same tax-free status. At a conservative 7% average annual return, that same $32,000 grows to approximately $124,000. Same account, same money. $77,000 difference. And that is just the starting balance. This video is about what happens when you stop treating your TFSA like a savings account and start treating it like the wealth-building engine the government actually designed it to be. Here is why most Canadian TFSAs are dramatically underperforming their potential. When most Canadians open a TFSA at their bank, and most do open it at their bank, the bank defaults them into a savings account, or a GIC. The bank calls it a tax-free savings account. So that is what most people treat it as, a savings account. What most people do not know is that a TFSA can hold virtually any investment. Index funds, ETFs, mutual funds, stocks, bonds. The tax-free status applies to all of it. The growth is sheltered from tax, whether the account holds cash or a diversified mutual fund. The bank chose the default. You can choose differently. And that choice, switching from cash to an invested portfolio inside the same account, is the single most impactful financial move most Canadians have never made. $1 million. That is the number most Canadians assume is for other people, higher earners, luckier investors, people who got a head start they never got. Here is what the math actually says. A 25-year-old contributing $500 per month to an invested TFSA at 7% average annual return reaches $1.3 million by age 65. A 30-year-old contributing the same amount reaches $917,000. A 35-year-old, Maya's age, contributing $500 per month reaches $638,000. And a 35-year-old who increases their contribution to $750 per month reaches $957,000, nearly $1 million, on a combined household income of $70,000 to $80,000, which is close to the Canadian median. $500 to $750 per month is between 8 and 13% of take-home pay. Not easy, not impossible. The question is not whether the math works. The math always works. The question is whether you start. The second switch is the one that costs the most and is the hardest to recover from: starting age. Every year you delay starting your TFSA investment costs you approximately $17,000 in final balance if you start at 30 versus 31. That is not the balance at 31. That is the balance at 65, reduced by $17,000 because of 1 year of delay. The reason the math is so unforgiving on timing is not the contributions. It is the compounding. Early contributions compound the longest. A dollar contributed at 25 has 40 years to grow. The same dollar contributed at 35 has 30 years. 10 fewer years of compounding does not reduce the result by a quarter. It reduces it by almost half. That is what compound interest actually means. And it is why the best time to start was 10 years ago, and the second best time is today. The third switch is contribution amount. And this is where most people stop before they start, because the number feels too large. Here is a different way to think about it. The gap between a $638,000 TFSA at 65 and a $957,000 TFSA at 65, starting at 35 in both cases, is $250 per month, not $750 per month. $250 more per month. That is the difference between nearly $640,000 and nearly $960,000. For most Canadian households, $250 per month is a combination of redirected spending rather than new money. The streaming subscriptions you are not watching, the weekly coffee purchase, the monthly subscription box. None of these require sacrifice. They require clarity. The question is not whether you can afford $250 more per month. The question is whether you know where it currently goes. Here is what every TFSA projection assumes that most projections never say out loud. It assumes you can contribute every single month for 30 or 40 years without interruption. It assumes no disability, no critical illness, no period of unemployment that forces you to stop contributing, or worse, to withdraw. The plan works beautifully when nothing goes wrong. The question is, what protects the plan when something does? This is where life insurance, disability insurance, and critical illness coverage stop being separate products and start being the foundation the investment plan sits on. They are not an alternative to investing. They are what makes investing safe enough to rely on. A disability policy that replaces your income means your TFSA contributions keep running even when your paycheck doesn't. A critical illness payment means you don't have to liquidate your investments during a health crisis. A life insurance policy means your family's financial trajectory continues even if yours doesn't. The $1 million TFSA is the destination. Protection is the road. Maya's complete plan takes 15 minutes to set up and costs her $500 per month starting today. Her TFSA switches from a savings account to an invested mutual fund portfolio. Same account, different vehicle. She sets up an automated contribution so the behavior becomes a system rather than a monthly decision. She reviews her life insurance and disability coverage to make sure the plan is protected. And she sets a calendar reminder for an annual review so the plan stays current as her life changes. In 30 years, if the average annual return holds near historical norms, Maya's TFSA will be worth somewhere between $600,000 and $1.3 million, depending on how markets perform. Not guaranteed. No investment ever is, but built on behavior that has worked for every generation of patient investors before her. The math is not the hard part. The hard part was always starting. 3 switches, 1 plan. The $1 million TFSA is not a fantasy for high earners. It is the mathematical result of starting investing rather than saving and protecting what you build. Your action step from this video, not next week, today, is to log into your TFSA and find out whether it is invested or sitting in cash. That single piece of information is worth more than everything else in this video. And if you want to see what your specific numbers look like, your age, your current balance, your contribution room, that is a free 20-minute conversation. The link is below. The counter is running. Start.